Great Expectations by Charles Dickens.
It's a great pick. Dickens is such a master storyteller.
He really is. And this story, well, takes us on quite a journey, right? With Pip, from his humble beginnings to the heights of London society.
I mean, you've got ambition, class, and the meaning of great expectations all wrapped up in this one story.
Let's start at the very beginning. You've got young Pip all alone, right? And where is he? This desolate marshland.
And then boom, he runs into a terrifying escaped convict.
It really sets the stage, doesn't it? For the whole novel.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, talk about foreshadowing, right? The darkness, the uncertainty.
But it's not just the convict, it's the setting itself. The way Dickens uses the marshes to reflect how Pip is feeling.
You're right, the marshes become this symbol.
But what?
Pip's isolation, how vulnerable he is, and that his past is always looming.
Like the landscape is a mirror.
Exactly,
Yeah.
mirroring everything going on inside him.
And of course, this encounter with the convict.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it sets off this chain of events.
Which completely changes Pip's life.
No doubt about it.
Okay, so then we meet Pip's family. Well, his sister, Mrs. Joe.
Don't forget Joe.
Oh, right, Joe Gargery, too.
Such a kind soul.
But his childhood, it's harsh, right? I mean, Mrs. Joe is overbearing, to say the least.
Dickens really nails these relationships, though. They're so complex.
Well, Mrs. Joe, she's all about tickler.
Yeah.
And constantly reminding Pip he's indebted to her.
It's like she represents those Victorian-era constraints.
Oh, you mean like how society was so strict?
Absolutely. And
Right.
she's desperate to climb that social ladder.
Even if she has to sacrifice, well, everything to do it.
Love, compassion, you name it.
Then you have Joe. He's the complete opposite.
Total opposite.
He's good, loyal,
He's like a true father to Pip.
unconditional love and support.
The best kind.
But even Joe, he can only do so much.
Yeah, those societal expectations, they get to everyone.
Even Joe, he can't fully shield Pip from Mrs. Joe
And that's where Dickens' commentary comes in, right?
on society.
He's not just telling a story, he's critiquing.
What do you mean?
That rigid class system, the Victorian one,
Oh, I see.
showing the hypocrisy, the injustice, it's all there.
And how even good people like Joe, they get trapped.
By their social standing, exactly.
Then everything changes when Pip meets Miss Havisham.
And Estella.
Yeah, her too. Miss Havisham, this wealthy recluse, and Estella, beautiful, but so cold.
It's a turning point for Pip
He becomes ashamed of where he comes from.
and starts yearning for something more.
A better life. I get it.
Miss Havisham, though, she's the symbol of bitterness. Lost love, stuck in the past,
And Estella.
raised to break men's hearts. Destructive power of revenge, right?
It's all there. I mean, Pip's dazzled by her beauty.
And Miss Havisham's wealth?
He wants to be a gentleman.
To be worthy of their attention.
And that's where it starts. That great expectations.
But those aspirations, they come with a price.
He starts pushing away Joe and Biddy.
The people who really care about him.
Thinking they represent that old life he wants to escape.
It's a classic mistake.
A mistake.
He thinks happiness is about wealth and status.
That's what he's chasing.
Exactly. And he doesn't see the value of what he already has.
Then the mystery begins. Pip finds out he has a secret benefactor.
Someone's going to pay for him to become a gentleman.
And he automatically assumes it's Miss Havisham.
Which just makes his obsession worse.
He's got to climb that social ladder.
He's got it all wrong, though, doesn't he?
What do you mean?
Because it's not Miss Havisham at all.
It's not.
Nope. It's the escaped convict from the marshes.
No way. The one from the beginning?
The one and only Magwitch.
Wow, that changes everything.
Talk about a twist. It shatters all Pip's illusions.
It makes him face his prejudices.
All those flawed values he's embraced.
That's pretty ironic, right?
Totally. Magwitch, this convict, he's actually a complex character.
In what way?
He represents the brutality of the justice system.
But he's also capable of love and generosity. It makes you think, can you judge someone based on their past?
Exactly. It's not so simple.
I can't even imagine how Pip must be feeling.
Gratitude, shame, fear, it's all mixed up in there.
It's a huge turning point for Pip.
He has to confront his ideas about good and evil.
Because true worth, it's not about money or status.
Not at all. And it's a good reminder for all of us, right?
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Sometimes the most unexpected people can teach us the most.
About compassion, about humanity, it's powerful stuff.
What really is.
And that's just the beginning. We'll dive deeper into Pip's transformation and all the twists and turns along the way in our next part.
Can't wait. There's so much more to unpack.
So stay tuned, folks, and we'll see you back here for part 2 of our deep dive into Great Expectations.
Now, as Pip navigates this new world London society.
That's a whole different ballgame, right?
Dickens does a brilliant job,
Of what?
painting this picture of the city.
To contrast, right?
Totally. The wealthy, the elite.
Versus the slums, the poverty. It's like two different worlds.
And Dickens isn't afraid to show it.
Show what?
The dark side of Victorian England.
The hypocrisy.
The corruption hiding beneath the surface.
He's really challenging us to think about it.
Absolutely. Questioning those values.
Pip, though, he gets sucked in.
He does, doesn't he?
And he starts to change.
It's sad to
He
see.
becomes arrogant, judgmental.
He looks down on his old friends.
It's like classic corruption almost.
You said it. Pip's blinded by his ambition.
And his vanity, can't forget that.
Dickens is so good, though.
At what?
Creating characters that are flawed.
But you still kind of feel for them.
You get why Pip's doing it.
Trying to escape his past.
But his choices, they have consequences.
They do.
It reminds us, right,
Of what?
that chasing wealth and status can cost you.
Yeah, you can lose the things that really matter.
Love, integrity, compassion.
Just good stuff.
Exactly.
And then there are the other characters.
Oh, yeah. They're so important to Pip's story.
Like Mr. Jaggers, his guardian.
Oh, he's a trip. So eccentric.
And he represents the legal world.
Cold, calculating.
But he's interesting, isn't he?
So interesting. He's full of contradictions.
Like how?
Well, he's a lawyer, but he defends criminals.
But he's so detached from it all.
It makes you think about justice.
What do you mean?
Is it always so black and white?
Maybe not.
And the legal system itself.
Oh, without it.
Sometimes it perpetuates the injustice.
That's deep.
It does.
And then there's Miss Havisham.
Oh, she's unforgettable, stuck in the past.
Still using Estella as a weapon.
To hurt men, it's tragic.
And so unsettling.
Revenge, heartbreak, it's powerful stuff.
Makes you think about forgiveness.
And healing, can you ever really move on?
She's a prisoner in her own home.
Her own mind, really.
And Estella, she's caught in the middle.
Unable to connect with anyone.
Her heart's just closed off.
It's like Dickens is showing us the impact of trauma.
Yeah, from childhood, it can really affect you.
Estella, she's a victim of Miss Havisham's manipulation.
There are those moments.
Where you see a glimmer of something.
Like she wants more than this empty life.
To break free from the cycle of pain.
It's subtle, but it's there.
Again, Dickens does it again.
What do you mean?
Even his unsympathetic characters.
You kind of feel for them.
He reminds us that everyone has a story.
Their circumstances shape them.
It's all connected.
It is.
So Pip, as he gets deeper into this mess...
He starts to realize something.
What's that?
This world he's chasing.
Yeah.
It's not what he thought it would be.
He's isolated.
Disillusioned.
And the great expectations.
They're not so great after all.
And then, boom, Magwitch gets captured.
Sentenced to death. Talk about high stakes.
And Pip, he's torn.
Between loyalty and fear.
He owes Magwitch everything.
But being associated with a convict.
It could ruin him.
It's a real test of his character.
Will he stick to those societal values?
Or choose compassion?
He has to face the hypocrisy of it all.
That world he wants to be a part of?
It's also superficial. Money, status, respectability, they mean nothing compared to real connection.
And it's a turning point for Pip.
He chooses Magwitch.
Risks everything.
To repay the kindness.
It's powerful.
Redemption, pure and simple.
He realizes true worth isn't about material gain.
It's about those acts of compassion and loyalty.
In those final moments with Magwitch.
You see the real Pip.
The one he could have been.
Stripped of all the pretense and arrogance.
Embracing humility.
Gratitude. Compassion.
It's a reminder for all of us.
Learn from our mistakes.
Acknowledge the harm we've caused.
And choose integrity.
Choose love.
Even when it's hard.
Even when it's hard.
Because that's where true growth comes from.
And in the end, Pip, he goes back to the forge.
Back to his roots.
To Joe and Biddy.
It's like he's shedding all that pretense.
The social ambition, it's all gone.
He sees what's important now.
Yeah. He realizes the forge, it's not what he thought.
It's not a symbol of limitation anymore.
It's a place of warmth.
Authenticity, acceptance.
And Joe, he's there.
True fatherly love.
Not about expectations or status.
Just a connection of the heart.
It's like sometimes the greatest things.
They're not about grand ambitions.
It's the simple joys.
Human connection, familiar places.
The things that make you feel grounded.
Exactly.
But his reunion with Estella.
That's a whole different story.
Years have passed.
They've both been through a lot.
She's not the same Estella.
No, Miss Havisham's gone.
And Estella, she's changed.
She's not that cold beauty anymore.
She's experienced loss, heartbreak.
She understands the pain she caused.
But the question is,
have they really changed?
can they overcome their past?
Can they build something new?
Dickens, He leaves us hanging a bit.
There's hope, but also regret.
A sense of what could have been.
But maybe a new beginning.
It's up to us to decide.
It really makes you think.
About love, forgiveness.
And how our choices shape us.
That's the brilliance of Dickens.
He gives us these characters, these stories.
And they stay with you.
Long after you finish the book.
It makes you reflect.
On your own life, your ambitions.
The things that really matter.
It's a powerful message.
Cherish the good relationships.
Pursue your goals with integrity.
Don't lose sight of the simple things.
The things that make life worth living.
So if you haven't read Great Expectations,
You're missing out.
go find a copy.
Take the journey yourself.
It's an experience you won't forget.
It really is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure exploring this incredible story with you.
Until next time, keep those expectations high.
But always remember what truly matters.
We'll see you on our next deep dive.